Oh no, I started the recording.
No, you didn't. What can I do?
Oh no, it's solar.
So what if there's like a timer, and you have to complete an objective in a certain amount of time? Say review a piece of garbage that has fallen into your lap.
That sounds ridiculous. Months ago. This was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
This was yesterday that we played Solar Ash.
You beat that game 2 times yesterday. I beat that game like 5 times.
So there's a bit of a story behind this game for us, where we love Shadow of the Colossus, and the Pathless was incredible. And then Pray for the Gods was like a, whatever. The Drecky's in it. That's pretty cool. And then we were like, oh, Solar Ash. This game is kind of supposed to be like those games. And it's made by the people...
I heard that it was platforming, mirrors, edgy, time trial, big boss fights.
And it's made by the people that made Hyper Light Drifter. And that game's alright.
Game's alright.
It's cool. Stylish.
It's not a bad game.
It's not incredible either, but it's fun at least.
Yeah.
And then Solar Ash is the worst game I've ever played.
Solar Ash is pretty bad.
It's at least close.
It can't be for me. I've played too many games, but it's a bad game.
It's not fun. It is decidedly not a fun game.
Yeah, I've never seen a game like this that requires Metroidvanias. By the time you beat them, have better movement capabilities than this game that is about movement and speed and flowing.
It's so fucking
platforming,
slidey and floaty and imprecise.
It's
slowly, for all of the precise things it asks you to do.
The only thing that feels good, similar to Sonic, is you snap onto fucking rails, and those sections are alright because it can't be floaty.
Yeah.
Because you're on a fucking rail.
Except when they just don't work and you fall off of them.
Except when
that happens a
they're
lot.
rounded.
Yeah.
And they're planted in the ground, and you hit any side of it, and it just goes nah.
That's incredible. So I played it on hard, which is the hardest you have access to before beating it.
Yeah.
Play the whole game on hard. There is no fucking reason to play that game on anything other than easy unless you're going for trophies.
The first play.
Yeah. They're the only thing the difficulty does is it tightens how fast you have to do each of the challenges.
And I think punishes your death more.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just the hardest difficulty. It's been a while.
But man, those puzzles are not designed to be played in those time limits sometimes. They are designed for normal, and then they're wouldn't it be fun if we said that they could be done faster?
Well,
that'd be fun and
wacky.
It
also is really stupid that it is not open world, but it's it's a Sonic Frontiers open zone gameplay. Imagine those a Mario game. How you're in a level and you start a thing, and it's get to this thing in a certain amount of time. How many of those can you think of where you start the timer, it's super strict, and if you don't start with momentum, you've already lost?
Yeah.
Normally it starts you in a neutral state so that you have a baseline. There are so many of those, especially the fucking boss fight time gates, where you are not frames, but you need to play slower so that your next gate is faster. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking.
It's really silly.
And it has a terrible boost. It has no air dodge.
It's weird how little control you have.
Yeah. It's glide, which you are always pressing because it's the sprint, but you would never go slow.
Yeah.
The jump, the lock on, which is underutilized, and when it is, it's annoying and super tight.
Poorly. You have to completely you have to remove your hand from part of the controller to then move it, and in that time you've already lost
because time is moving slow, but because you have such a tight fucking time limit. It's moving still fast enough to fuck you.
It's great.
And all the fucking gates and trials and puzzles you're doing just suck. The game basically just consists of getting... What would you compare in a Mario? It's getting the shines.
Yeah.
It's you have to get a certain number of big collectibles that are hidden behind the largest platform puzzles and stuff
to unlock a gate.
Yeah. But they all boil down to hit these crystals in a specific order.
Yeah. It's been a whole day since we beat the game. Do you remember any of the bosses specifically?
Swordman,
the penultimate one. He's alright. I think the only one that I thought was actually...
He's not the penultimate.
He's not the penultimate?
He's the third from the left.
What? Who's after?
Because there's Big Bird, Smokestack.
Yeah.
Then the final boss.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I completely blocked that out because that area is terrible.
Yeah.
The only boss...
You'd be right if you just didn't finish the game, which is the correct option.
Yeah. The only boss I thought was actually decent was the second one. I think it's the Thresher.
The one that kind of peeks out of the little cloud sky.
Because it's just... You run around it, and that's cool. Because it's the Drekkie.
And it floats... It does the Drekkie thing where it, like, flips. Mm-hmm. It does the fucking 90s car flips.
Yeah.
Like that's neat.
First boss is annoying as shit, because it's
especially because you've started on hard.
Yeah.
Like, most people probably did.
It's really thin, and it has kill zones all over it. And if you touch the stick like a little bit, you rock it off of it because it's rounded.
Yes.
It's super fun. Super
the game's fun. Gravity is bad.
Yep.
Like the way they choose where gravity is pressing down, because it's a Mario Galaxy-esque little like blobs of clouds, which look all right. Like that stuff, the color choice is
aesthetically,
fine.
The game looks fine.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. The poison area, not too great.
No.
But the cloud, like the colors they chose for the clouds are very satisfying.
Yeah. It's too bad nothing else about the game's satisfying. And like the gameplay, it feels... I've beaten that game however many times I needed to. I think 2 times on each platform, probably. Yeah. PS4 PS5.
Because you're a monster.
But I still feel like I'm doing something wrong. Other than just playing the game. Like, I feel like there's a button that I just didn't know existed. That's like an air dash. Or that you could do the snap lock-on thing to like anything. But it's just nothing.
It doesn't help that this game's community is just as bad as like the fucking Souls community, where if you go on their subreddit to complain about like any like reasonable thing, they're like, no, you're just bad at the game, and it's totally reasonable to complete these tasks in 4 seconds each. And
when you'll fail one gate, like one space to another space section on a boss multiple times. And then you'll succeed doing nothing different.
Yep.
I think one of the biggest missteps, which is probably an incredibly early decision, was that you have to hit the things
instead of just pass through them,
which leads to the problem of not hitting the ones intentionally, so that you have more time and you've moved further towards the next one when you hit it.
Yep.
But then that leads to you overcorrecting, and because you hit forward more, you can't be that far away from it. You can't be as far forward from it as you can be behind it.
Yep.
And press the attack button and have it hit. Sometimes you'll just hit and you'll do the swipes and you'll just completely go through or just whiff the fucking thing, or it'll fuck up your momentum.
Building on this fucking hitting things, for a game that's all about speed, you think that interacting with things would be fast. Like, you'd hit them to interact with doors instead of standing still for 5 seconds to hold the button to open them.
You certainly weird. Do hold buttons for a long time.
You hold a lot of buttons in this really fast-paced game.
Do you know why? Do you know why you hold the buttons?
Subversion of expectation?
No, so that an enemy can shoot a projectile at you that makes you not be able to interact with it and have to go kill the enemy. Because the combat is super meaningful.
Yep.
It's so meaningful.
I was shocked when I found out there were enemies in the game.
There barely are.
Yeah.
That's the only penalty of death. I don't know if you ever died. It respawns the shit enemies.
Oh, great.
That's the only penalty.
That's fun. That's a fun game design.
It's really fun.
Oh, that's great.
Speaking of great game design, losing health chunks every time you beat a boss. And then having to use your XP.
It's so fucking weird.
To keep getting another hit. But if you have that much XP, like the plasma, shouldn't you be better at the game and therefore not need as much health? especially because it's impermanent, so it's better to not spend
Nothing
any
matters.
of it since the price gets higher.
Now, I don't think I ever tested it, but I think you did. Getting in one of those cutscenes without having extra health, it just does nothing.
Yeah,
like she just crushes you, and then
it just treats
fine.
you like a death.
Yeah,
like it just spawns you at another checkpoint.
Man, I forgot about that bullshit. Yeah. Losing health.
Yeah, losing.
That's so silly.
It is the most unrewarding gameplay loop I think you could come up with.
Yeah,
is progressing makes you actively weaker, but not actively weaker in a way that like is intentional to the story and like, oh, there's like a sense of dread here.
Yeah,
it's no. It's just because they understood people like RPG mechanics and number go up in video games, but they didn't have any skill trees or like another button or maybe other skills you could do that could make it play good. So they decide to keep shooting you in the kneecap so that you have to keep paying them to fix your kneecap.
So, as terrible as every single part of this game is, I'd like to talk about what I think is perhaps the worst part. And that's the voice acting.
It's not the story.
I'm getting to that.
They're together.
They're together. They're intrinsically linked. The voice acting in this game is so terrible and so cringy that I fucking I muted the volume the entire game.
It's the effect of when you like start an anime or see a clip of something on YouTube. And then, like, it's dubbed, and you're just like, I gotta mute my phone. I gotta hide from other people.
I searched to see if I could change it to a different language.
Can you not?
No, it's only English.
Yeah.
And so, fuck that, just mute it.
Yeah. I don't think the voice acting quality is, like, literally the worst I've heard.
It's
but
bad.
The character writing and delivery... The problem is that it's intentional.
Yes.
That they probably did what they wanted to accomplish.
They think they're serving
which was
some
make
grand
the most
purpose.
abrasive character ever.
Mm-hmm.
I hate her.
She's very bad. I don't remember her name.
Sid or Seed.
Yeah, the person that is CYD and is not pronounced Seed, like the fucking entire
like the
purpose
thing
of the game.
Seed.
It's pronounced Sid. It's very weird.
I liked that character, but that's easy. That's robot companion that likes you.
Quirky robot companion, super original. I bet Blizzard made quirky. That character.
Not even really quirky.
How high on the diversity scale
like
you think 10. Sid? 10?
Robots are 10s by default.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. That was a non-binary robot. 0.
That's
0. God. Yeah, the game is bad. The collectibles. Finish the gameplay stuff. I think the level design's bad. The level design is the game because it is a traversal platform.
Yeah,
it's bad. Like the controls and stuff are bad, and the gameplay is clearly not. The levels are clearly not made for the game they actually made. It's made for a game that has better controls. Yep, like a Pathless maybe.
Cool, man, the Pathless.
Pathless is a perfect example. That game, you move super quick, and it is not about precision. Like the game is a third-person shooter that auto-aims, and you just do rhythm to shoot. And it feels amazing. And you move super quick, so all the areas are big plains that are beautiful, and it gives you a really good sense of scale, and there are many reasons why it's big, but it also makes it... If you ported the Pathless into Solar Ash's levels, it would suck.
Yeah.
Because you would be falling off every platform.
You'd be hitting walls.
You'd constantly
all the time.
It'd be a miserable experience. But Solar Ash is Solar Ash.
It's a miserable experience.
It was made for that. Ostensibly bad. It does not work. It's not fun. The floaty roller skatey stuff is not fun.
Yeah.
It's like, what other games in this genre do you think exist? Like Prince of Persia, Pathless, Mirror's Edge, very movement heavy games. All of those games are better than that. I can easily say this is the worst of this genre I've played.
100%.
Like 3D platformer, it's the worst. That specific like movement based action games.
Yeah.
Terrible. If Revengeance had wall running, it would be a better game than this in every way, in the same genre. The music, speaking of Revengeance, I don't remember there being music.
Neither do I.
I just don't recall it.
No, yeah.
I feel like it was some beeps and boops.
Probably some beeps and boops.
Like some mixes
maybe
and
some
stuff.
sweeping orchestrals every now and again.
Maybe.
Maybe.
To me, that feels more like they'd go like a funk like fusion.
I can't say. I
can't recall a single instance of music.
This studio is so we mentioned this when we were playing it. It feels like this was not made by the people that made Hyper Light Drifter.
Because I was pretty sure Heart Machine was a guy.
Yeah, it feels like
a guy that has heart problems. Taken. Specifically, like that's why the plot of Hyper Light Drifter is the way it is, where it's like dealing with an incurable disease that you could die at any time. Because I'm pretty sure the guy has heart problems.
Yeah.
And have that anxiety. I'm pretty sure. I don't recall that much because I don't care about the game that much. I just thought that was cool, and I like their logo. It feels like he hired people to help him finish that game with the Kickstarter stuff. And then it feels like he got ousted from his own company and doesn't make any of the creative decisions. Because I don't see how the person that made
really
that
stylish
game,
pixel top-down game went to make a shitty 3D bland flat.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't check out.
With a terrible story.
Yeah.
That has like... Hyper Light Drifter didn't have like text in English, I'm pretty sure, right?
I think it did.
But it didn't have voice
dialogue. It was a very
small
amount.
It was like your currency was like a weird number.
Yeah.
Like things were not clear. It was very explorative and like up to the player.
Yeah.
In a more like Souls way, but like no item description, just area exploration. Like cresting that, I think the first hill and seeing that dead giant.
The giant fucking like
that
Ava
stuff's
looking.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Environmental storytelling and shit. Solar Ash.
The most direct beats you over the head
with its shitty voice acting. That is
horror.
Like PS2 era, like telling you directly everything that's happening as if there aren't visuals. There might as well not be visuals for the way it fucking. But then the visuals that are there, it's not like it has that level of care in the world and everything, but then has shitty layer of voice acting like the beginning of Underwater or something.
Yeah.
Like a forced in fucking. What is it called?
Don't worry. Next review, Underwater.
Yes.
It's gonna happen. Just like Antlers.
What's it called when you get a bunch of people that don't know anything about making decisions and you poll them and that decides what you do with your game or movie?
Assholes.
What's it fucking called?
I don't know.
It's not
Crowdsourcing?
It's like
that's not really
test audience.
Okay, yeah.
Stuff like that. Where it just fucking you add that shit because you're like, people are stupid. They won't get what we're doing. But no, this feels like they made what they wanted to make, and what they wanted to make sucks.
Yeah.
And is like not. It feels like it was made for people that don't like video games.
Oh yeah,
but is just... also those people couldn't beat this game on anything other than easy or normal.
Yeah.
Like.
It's not meant to be played higher than that.
I don't see how anyone but like someone that dedicates themselves to this could play from beginning to end a smooth run where they don't fail on a hard difficulty.
Yeah.
Like the clouds recede sometimes and you'll hit a solid thing that is hidden under the clouds and it fucks up your time.
It's incredible.
Because you hit a thing and then it like resets your momentum like fucking Sonic.
Yeah.
And the fucking dash is bad. Oh, another thing that fucks up how they can... So, a mistake they made early on was that you can start these time trial things from a variety of areas. You aren't in a set specific place going a set specific distance with set specific conditions. So that you can test it all the time. So that fucked it up and made it so the time is way too tight unless you are doing exactly what you think they want you to do, but you have no guidance to know what they want. Like, this game would have benefited greatly from an NPC ghost.
Yes,
that is like, here's the ideal time. Here's what you do.
Shit.
Yeah, so that when you're falling off or if something goes wrong, you're like, okay, I see where I was supposed to go. Because there are some things later on where I had trouble finding the next thing to hit.
There was a specific
because
one...
the camera doesn't always point to it.
There was a specific one in the Poison world and like the weird
it's the
like
broken
upside
ship.
down mountain. Yeah, the broken ship where you have to go between two parts of this like wrought iron ship.
It's basically you're doing like a horseshoe.
Yeah,
like loop.
And you get to a point of it and it spawns it like behind you And the time on hard, it's like you have like a second and a half to find it, but there's no indication of where it is at all.
So think of like a oval, point at the southernmost point, and then west, north, and east. Mm-hmm. You and me both made the same mistake, which was you don't know there's 4 of them. Mm-hmm. You go south, which is the start, then you jump up to the west one. But then you don't see the north one.
Yeah.
Because it's on like a wall run goop section. Yep. And you just jump to the east one. But that's wrong.
Yeah.
And this game isn't a 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of like flags, where you can't interact with 4 if you haven't done 3. It spawns all of them at once, and you can hit them in whatever order. It's just that's the only one I can think of where it's even possible to reach one without doing the next one.
The way I figured it out...
I did that like 8 times.
Yeah, I did it for so long. The way I ended up figuring it out was I hit the 3, and then I paused the game and went into photo mode, and flew around and found it.
It was very Pray for the Gods move.
It's very Pray for the Gods.
But that... And the best parts of the game are the boss fights or sequences where you're doing a long string of hit thing, then the camera moves for you. Mm-hmm. So you don't even need a right stick.
Yep.
The ideal version of this game, you don't need a right stick. You could play it on the 3DS, like the Monster Hunters.
Incredible. You don't need that Circle Pad Pro.
You don't need it.
You don't need it.
You don't need it. They didn't design the game for the Circle Pad Pro. Where it's just, you hit a thing, and it is just a rhythm game where you are pressing jump to avoid some obstacles, dash to speed up, and hit the next spot. I'm dying.
Incredible.
But... It's just
poor. It's just poor.
Yeah. And the fucking collectibles in the open world stuff they're just not engaging. The story stuff is all terrible.
Yeah.
They're all characters that don't exist. They just exist in audio logs, but they're super like compelling.
Fucking weird side quests that devalue the life of aliens because they don't understand how the planet works.
Great.
It's weird.
But back to the gameplay, I remembered what I was getting to, forgot. So they didn't understand to have a finite set or a ghost that tells you what they are expecting you to do. But there's also the different suits, which you get from the collectibles.
The suits.
And the suits fuck up the gameplay.
Yeah.
And they're terribly paced and stupid. So you have your boost, which is pretty important in a speed-based game. One of them decreases the cooldown to your next boost. So you just definitively go faster than someone that doesn't, and you only get those by collecting the collectibles that are the audio logs of the other Void Runners.
That's incredible.
And then the best is there's like one suit per area, because each area is like, this is this character's collectibles.
Yeah. Once
you get all those, which it's fine, it's pretty easy to find them all. You explore all the stuff. Usually there's like one that's annoying in a weird place you wouldn't think counts. But it was fine to get all that stuff without guides or anything.
Yeah.
And then the quests are fine, like finding point to point. They're a little weird, but they are marked on the weird non-map. It's not a map.
Oh, the map.
It's basically a level select.
Map.
It's like the Mario Sunshine map.
Yeah.
Where it just shows you like the levels,
and
essentially.
It doesn't have fast
travel.
But
it gives you less.
Despite looking like it's designed to have fast travel.
It does.
Does it?
Yeah.
I remember doing a lot of walking.
You hold the square. Cause I think you have to talk to the seed in each place first. I forget. It definitely does. Because I remember the PS5 version loading way quicker with fast travel. What was I going to fucking say? The suits. One of my biggest pet peeves in video games with collectibles is ever needing to go to an outside source to find them. Like having to look up a guide.
Yeah.
Games should tell you, they should have really good collectible tracking. You should be able to buy maps or buy a thing that makes you weaker, but it lets you know where the collectibles are. There should be an in-game way for you to find every collectible that doesn't involve scrounging the asshole of every dead enemy in your video game and to the point of a fucking tester looking for collision mistakes. You shouldn't have to do that to find fucking collectibles that are also story beats in your game.
Yeah.
And give you upgrades. Like, you shouldn't have to go to an outside source. So, this game has a solution to that for the uninitiated. Do you remember
I remember
their solution?
It's incredible.
Which is that the last area in the game is the area where you find the collectibles, and then you get the suit that lets you show the collectibles when you ping.
It's incredible.
That's the dumbest fucking thing
I've ever seen. Super useful. What are you talking about?
The only cool thing about the upgrades is the New Game Plus thing. You get a suit for getting all the suits. I think it's just for getting all the suits. Maybe it's for beating the game in a certain time as well. But it's a cool looking suit. I think it's called the Absolution suit. Mm-hmm. And it gives you all the upgrades in one suit.
Yeah.
But one of those upgrades doesn't matter because it's find all collectibles, which is a thing you already did. And you don't want to, even with a fast travel, you don't want to go back. Like, you don't want to leave those levels until you've done everything there, so you don't have to come back.
Yeah.
And then the actual level layouts, like the point-to-point, is really weird. Because it's like, go south, then go north, then go back to the southern area, and then go one thing farther south. Which I imagine, if you didn't know there was a fast travel, that would be very annoying when you have to go the entire world.
Be a little silly.
Yeah, and boy, the story. Is there any other gameplay things? The bosses are unmemorable. It's not like Pray for the Gods where we need to talk about each one.
Yeah, one boss I want to. At the third, fourth, it's the big
fucking
ball
moon. That one has probably my favorite design idea.
God damn, it does not function on that moon.
Stupid. No, all they needed to do was when the boss fight starts, seal off where you enter.
So you enter into the moon in like a little crater, kind of like cubby hole that's in the ground, and the main way you like fight this thing and you have to mount it is you have to go around each of its legs and hit them. The issue is that it's so big on the small moon you're on that the light.
It's a Mario Galaxy. Like, it's a super small moon that the boss is about the same size as, and it's got these big legs like a cartoon spider.
You go around the legs, and it just so happens that it's like the perfect size that one of its legs is always like over or around this hole. So you fall in it instead of hitting its leg, and then you fuck up, and you have to reset the whole thing.
It tries to stomp on you with one leg, and then you dodge it, and then you hit that leg. But then wherever it was, it plants its other feet, kind of procedurally, like how Wander runs in fucking Shadow of the Colossus. Yeah. Where you can tell that it's not hand animated. Yeah. His feet are finding the ground and kind of stumbling. Yeah. And a significant portion of that small planet is a crater, and with the tight timing, it's another instance of like, if you don't perfectly set it up, which you can't know they want you to set it up. Like, that's a mistake the developers could make.
Yeah.
And that's bad. All you need to do is have the clouds, have the thing when you engage the boss, have the area puff up, or just cheat. Just fucking, as soon as it's off screen, erase the crater.
Yeah.
And just make it an infinite circle. Because you don't need, it serves no purpose.
Yeah.
It's not like you run away from the boss. It's not like you go there to, like, recover health or anything. You start the encounter, it should just be a sphere. That boss would be way more fun, because I think that's one of my favorite bosses.
Yeah.
But that part sucks.
It's very silly.
When that happens, it's super annoying, especially on any difficulty that requires you to basically be perfect.
Yep. The transition screens?
Oh, man.
My favorite, whenever you do so anything, it's fucking stupid Capri Sun, like, pinkish
Nickelodeon slime.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the game at all.
It looks like a commercial break for like a Nickelodeon.
Whenever
or
I see it,
Swim.
I just get pissed off. I think,
but it also feels like it's telling you how quirky and pretty it is.
Whenever those screen transitions alone probably lowered the game 2 points for me over the course of playing it.
How can it go to -2?
Well, I don't understand. When I started, I was like, okay, this isn't like great, but it's probably like a 7. And then every area it lost a point.
And it's probably short. It's not going to be that long.
I did beat it in like one sitting because I knew if I got up,
I
wouldn't play.
You would
it's
not come
DMC2.
Yeah.
If you stop playing,
it hits that same brain like part where it's like infuriating in like every way. DMC2 is a better game, I think.
Yeah,
because DMC2 has the coin.
It has the coin.
It's the coin and the motorcycle.
It has him riding into hell.
It's pretty good.
Jesus Christ.
I think that's all the gameplay. There's no reason to like break down each boss because
They're just simple.
They're the best parts of each of those things in that they're usually smooth things, but they suffer from all the problems of the controls not being good. And the game shouldn't take itself as a failsafe, so like it shouldn't have as many fail states as it does, because it's like a super negative. It's like a fucking electroshock when you fail in the game because they just rip control from you.
It's the negative snake bite.
Yeah,
of fucking
it's the
Jump
snake
King,
bite. Yeah,
but worse.
Where it's like it feels like it's taking control away from you. You're not learning because there's no ghost and there's no way to know how you could have done better. Yeah. Especially when it's hard to know if they fucking planned for you to have a suit that makes you faster than your speed would normally be. It's, and then some of those suits feel like how the game should just be played, which is I think one of them like gives you health for killing enemies. That just feels like that's how that should be, rather than having to do that crystals and stuff. And the plasma, I think you get plasma from killing enemies and you just collect it. The plasma is a great example of the controls being terrible, because collecting small... What do you think of when you think of platformers like Mario? Like, I think of lines of coins that tell you, oh, you want to pick up speed, and then there's an arch of coins. Yeah. So you jump at the beginning, and you pleasantly get every coin perfectly. Yeah. And it feels great. It's got snaking little pathways of plasma. But the first area, I saw that, and I was like, I know platforming video games. I'm going to get those. Got the first one, missed the second one, swerving around, overcorrecting because of the fucking slidey shit. And you get used to it, but that's like the most basic thing in one of these games, is that should be fun. Or should just have some more fucking... Should just vacuum towards you easier. And then some of those later enemies, the ones that have the fucking sniper laser, which just fucking suck to deal with.
Everything sucks. There's not a single, like,
and the enemies take too many hits. What's you have a 3-hit combo?
Yep,
most of the enemies take 4 hits.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And that's another... guess what? There's a suit where you do double damage, so enemies die in half the hits. So your 3-hit combo actually is a 3-hit combo that makes sense. And it's one of those games where it's better to jump and attack, because attacking on the ground makes you slower. Yeah. Whereas jumping in your or attacking during your momentum makes it easier. It's
silly.
It's a poor game.
So how bad is the story?
It's insulting.
It's silly.
Whereas DMC2 is the best part. Like, the story is the best part of that game. Weirdly, despite having 30 minutes of cutscenes, if that.
Man, do you like infinite genocide of millions of people?
Do you like the worst thing I've ever seen a character do in any piece of media ever? Literally Infinity Hitler?
Yep.
But she's a girl boss, so she'll get over it.
Are you gonna be okay? You gonna be okay?
I'll be okay.
You'll be okay? Okay.
I forget what's the fucking line.
It's something like
I will be okay, or like it'll get better.
It's silly.
Yeah. So the story. Let's talk about the side quests, because the side quests are a great example of the trajectory of the story.
I didn't do them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the side quests are very clearly about like loss and grief.
Yep.
And all themes that a story wants to tell you it's really good with.
It's an indie game about mental health. Who could tell?
Love endearing.
Oh, grief is love enduring.
Yeah. It's super deep.
Yeah.
Best
Wanda,
line ever.
not a villain. No. Sam Raimi told me Wanda's not a villain.
No, she just loves too much. You know who else loves too much? Is her name Rey?
Yes.
Of course it is.
Yes, R-E-I.
Yeah. Boy. That is the worst person. And up until the very ending, you understand. It's up to her voice acting whether you feel for her at all, but you understand that she's trying to do the right thing and she's up against fucked up odds and she doesn't know what's going on. And Infinity or whatever the fucking goddess thing is. Null?
Something. Null? The coolest thing about the game,
it's a cool design. That design's cool. Ruined. Yeah. It's cool what it also is revealed to be. Like what's going through her is cool, but yeah. It is ruined. But the game's very clear. Like, the first quest is about, like, you're dealing with weird, like, temporal shit that is very... The rules are not defined.
Yeah.
It's very wishy-washy bullshit. But you're helping this little animal person who is clearly, like, going through, like, grief and forgetting where their partner is. But you find, like, through finding them in different circumstances of past, present, and, like, further on, that they're going through this loop, and they're finding out that their partner's dead over and over again, which sucks, and I feel bad for the little one.
Yeah.
And then the second one is the kind of neat idea of the mycelial...
The mushroom stuff. Like the sages.
Spores. Yeah. Where they're, like... They're so above all that shit that they notice... Like, they know there's the loop. And the guy's trying to ascend, but he doesn't want to... He's torn between, like, wanting to ascend, like his culture has told him is their goal for existing.
Yeah.
And being scared of being in that state. And he'll never make it to that state because in the middle of his, like, inner conflict is when his loop always resets.
Yeah.
Which is a neat idea. Like, the thing he's going through is neat. And then the fungal spore network is neat that they don't follow the rules of the time shit. And then the third one is the most slapstick, like, insulting like, fucking... these fish people...
Like crustaceans.
Yeah.
Looking guys.
And the character, he's kind of entertaining. He's like a little fish, like, Admiral Man. What's his name? It's like a very obvious name for, like, a captain or, like, an admiral of something. And he's, like, very serious. Like, he's treating it like, oh, we've come now, so we're gonna fix everything. Everything's gonna be great. And then he's like, oh, can you go find my crews of people? And they went out to, like, find help and stuff. Yeah. And you find them in increasingly hilarious situations where they've been brutally murdered because they're stupid.
Yeah.
But you treat it seriously. Like, you call in and you report, like, dour tone, like, you know, they all died. It's a real shame what happened to these men, these brave men and women. And the guy responds to you and he's like, oh, they will be honored as heroes. But then you see them and it's like they thought this acid pit was a spa.
Yeah.
That they thought they climbed this electrical wiring to get higher, and then while they were climbing it, they turned it on.
It's really something.
I think there's one where they, like, jumped into they crash landed onto a thing full of a bunch of pillows or something. I don't even remember what.
There were pillows.
But I don't remember
the context for it.
I don't remember how they die. If the pillows weren't actually soft, they were demons.
They must have been concrete.
But it's like all the other stuff is like so self-serious and like so fucking art film bullshit. For that one to just be like, oh, life has no value for these guys are funny aliens.
Yeah, they're goofy. They don't understand our customs.
Yeah,
fuck them.
Yeah, they have a different concept. Like, there's just a fucking species that is just straight up stupid.
Yep.
Fine. That shouldn't be funny. That should be tragic.
Yeah.
Like, it should be tragic. Like, they should be like. They were tricked. They were taken advantage of by someone that thought nothing of them. And fuck that guy.
Yeah.
But no. It's like, ha funny, take a screenshot. These guys died in a fucking spa acid.
Yeah. It's really goofy. I don't get it.
It completely breaks the tone of that game. And then the end of that quest line is pretty good. Because you find the fucking guy that they have like a dictatorship or like a monarch they all believe in. And they constantly reference him. And then you find him in his fucking like vault of gold he holed himself up in. And he killed everyone else because he's just a shallow piece of shit.
Yeah.
And then the admiral guy has been like disillusioned and his entire morality has broken down because of this. but then at the end he just kind of circles back around to like, I forget if he says he circles back around to straight up believing the guy again despite having just killed him.
Yeah.
Or circles back around to like, oh, that wasn't the real one, we gotta still find.
Yeah.
There's some loop where it just doesn't matter.
Uh-huh.
But I liked that you find the guy and he's just like happy-go-lucky to like, I just had to kill the god I believe in.
Yeah.
And that was alright. Just how selfish. And then it's the obvious fucking thing of like, they're not humans, but humans are the real villain. Like the man's inhumanity towards Crab Man.
Not Crab Man.
Crab Man.
It really is a shame how we treat the crab. We have the crab killing machine, so.
But then you just reverse it and you get the crab.
The crab reviving machine.
Yeah.
The crab go back together machine.
Crab fixatron. So the main story though.
I don't even want to fucking. It's bad. I don't want to talk about it.
I don't even know if there's enough details in like the early part to even say like what the premise is. You go into anomaly like void space thing.
There's a black hole that is destroying the universe. Your race of robot people make a thing called the seed that they will stab into it that will theoretically destroy the black hole and save everyone
before it reaches their planet.
Yeah.
Because it's sucked up other races, and you're like the Void Runners, so you're like a specific race that can traverse this stuff without having to deal with the loop temporal effects. So that's all you have of like the plot until the very end of the game, and you're going to these other areas to just get more power for the seed, fighting the bosses, and they're called distortions or something. And you do that, and it's fine, whatever. And then the last thing before the boss is like you talk to Seed and you go to engage it and it just glitches out, or like you can't do it unless you're at the main thing. Yeah. So you go back there and you engage it, and then you go up, and the lady, every time you've been beating a boss, there's someone, a giant like a goddess entity being that has got the Rayman shit going on where the body isn't connected. And she's been alluding to, like, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, you're stupid. Fucking up. You're doing the wrong thing.
You keep fucking up. I'm annoyed. Like, fucking has also clearly been in this loop and is just pissed at you and hates you a lot. And it's, like, the one thing where, like, I'm on Ray's side for a thing. Yeah. Because she wants to help, but the thing never just explains.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It decides to just crush you and do this. That's where you lose your fucking health chunk.
Yeah.
Which is a cool idea, like losing health in a cutscene to make a point, but actually losing permanent health because they didn't want to make a fucking actual skill tree or upgrade system, or just let you spend the plasma on fucking revealing collectible things so you get the more suits.
Yeah.
And then every boss you beat, maybe you start with a certain amount of health. You start with the full health. Every boss you beat makes you weaker because you should be better at the game.
Yeah.
Like, those are all things I could respect. They chose to do the dumbest, worst thing that is the most clear, shallow game and design intent of, like, we need some reason for you to get the plasma. And then, like most games, one of my pet peeves is that currency means nothing.
Yeah.
Once you've gotten all the health and you've beaten the game, the currency is fucking valueless, but you still collect it by doing everything.
So it is revealed to you that the goddess entity is you, essentially, and that every time you restart the seed, it fucks everything.
Yeah. It's the collection of your consciousness that has gone through the loop over and over again, whereas you, as the player instance, are just a singular instance of her entering the void and then to activating the seed. Where she always activates the seed. That's the thing. She always goes like, fuck you, idiot.
Yeah.
Even though that doesn't really make sense.
No, it doesn't.
Because it should be pretty easy to convince somebody that has the good of the people in mind to be like, no, you're wrong. And then it reveals your planet was already caught up in it and everyone's already dead. But they are in range of the shit. So every time you loop, all of them are living the last day of their planet again.
Yeah.
Which is like the most terrifying, terrible thing ever. So by restarting the seed constantly, the twist is basically you have subjected the people you care about so much that you decided to sacrifice yourself on this death mission. It's like if an astronaut that was going on a one-way mission, like, found out that the rocket burned up the planet as they left.
Yeah.
And then having that dropped on them. Like a hero being told, not only did you not save everybody, you have made it exponentially worse.
Yeah.
An infinite number of times. And her reaction to that is she, like, freaks out and then falls apart and turns into a goop monster, which is, like, one of the only good aesthetic animations of the whole thing.
It's weird.
And that's the bad ending. Is you activate the seed and you keep the loop. You find out you've been fucking everything up.
Yeah.
And then the good ending, the true ending,
intended
Shin ending, is the fucking, the Cabin? What's that movie?
Which?
The bad horror movie with the terrible ending.
Oh, The Lodge.
The Lodge.
Yes.
The Lodge.
That's coming up next,
the
too.
true Lodge ending, where they fucking jump the shark and are stupid, is you pull the seed up and break it.
Mm-hmm.
And the seed has the same design as the needle that is piercing the goddess. And as you're pulling it out, it's pulling out of her. Mm-hmm. And that's neat.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my god, you've never done this before. You've never not done the seed, which is just...
It's silly to believe
It's weird that this loop would be going for so long. Mm-hmm. For an entity, like, she has no limits that you see.
Mm-hmm.
She can just talk to you.
Yeah.
So she should be, every time she sees you, she shouldn't be such a spiteful prick. It's understandable if she's had to deal with an idiot that doesn't learn this whole time. But she should have a game plan of, like, okay,
this is what I'm
she should be revealing more to you each time and then getting cut off. Not killing you intentionally. And therefore giving her less time to convince you to do what she wants you to do and release her. So that's like a reveal that makes everything that she does dumber.
Yep.
Which is always great.
It's always my favorite.
It's always a good character turn when you don't write your characters. And then, so you don't do the seed, but you still fall apart.
You, like, take it into you.
Or something.
Yeah.
You still get corrupted, and the other reveal is that you are the bosses you fought. Like, your shitty versions that have fallen apart and turned into demon whatevers are the bosses you've been killing and restoring power to the Starseed the whole time. So then you take control of the original Rey as the fucking ghosty version.
Very, like, wispy, cool looking.
Yeah. And then you just play through a pretty cool looking area, the blood, all the plasma and stuff. And then you do one more boss that's just not very good as well.
It's really not. It's just long and not
I had
fun.
the most glitches in that boss too.
Yeah.
And and you beat her, they come together, form Shinrei, and then you, the Seed, and the other three, like, NPCs from the side quest.
Yeah.
There's, like, a fucking closing monologue that's like, we'll rebuild.
Yeah.
I hope all those species are asexual, because if not, not going to be much to rebuild.
They're fucked.
The ending is like, oh, dude, hope. Time heals all wounds. Everything's gonna get better eventually. But the things that are happened are like the infinite genocide.
They're very bad.
Of many. And you're still, like, trapped in the fucking Super Bowl.
You are still fucked.
Like...
But you'll get better.
I'm pretty sure.
You'll get better.
Like, maybe you do, like, at least make it... You could leave. Because I think the shot of the Admiral guy is him flying away in a spaceship. But even then, your entire species are all gone. Like, the thing should be like, oh, we sacrificed ourselves so that this never does what we experience to any other planets.
Yeah.
But it's like a personal win. Like, and the last line of the game is like, yeah, I'll get over it.
Yeah.
I'll get over the worst thing I've ever seen anyone ever do.
Yeah.
Like...
It's good. It's a good game. You should go out and play it, and then shoot yourself, and then record that and send it to Heart Machine.
Did you see what the fucking Pray for the Gods one was?
I think it was like a 6.5.
Yeah, but it's out of 10s.
Yeah.
With like a 0.5 potential.
Yeah, it's a 100 point scale secretly.
Secretly.
It's like a 1, maybe a 2.
It functions and like has work put into it.
Mm-hmm.
It just fails on every
single fucking
qualitative point. Every qualitative point, it's garbage.
Yeah.
Quantitative points, it exists. It's worth. It's like
if it's
no, isn't it expensive? Isn't it like $30 or $40?
It was You got it on sale, I think, but it is a like almost full price game.
It's like
40.
It was more. God, it's got like 77%.
It is expensive for what it is.
$40.
Yeah.
Annapurna game. That was like right after I said like, oh dude, Annapurna.
Yeah, right after we finished the Pathless, and we're like, oh fucking Annapurna.
They always do some good indie game stuff.
Then Solar Ass had to come out and
it's
be a 1 out of 10.
It can't be a 1 because
it
like
functions.
We wouldn't review a 1.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't play a 1 because it would be fucking Steam garbage or those the 49-cent games on fucking PSN and Steam that are like asset flip garbage.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to think of the worst possible number
3.
for a thing that effort was put forth for. I think a 3 or a 4.
Yeah.
I think 3 is fine.
3.5.
Because I think 1 and 2 are like flaming fucking garbage, insulting. Mm-hmm. Like 1 and 2 would be for a game that is like Solar Ash, but is actually insulting as like it was made as a war crime.
Yeah.
Like it actually is a problem in reality. Mm-hmm. It's gotta be a 3.
Yeah.
It's like fucking awful.
I'd say like a base would be like a 5. But
I'd say average is 5.
How bad the voice acting, the story, and the writing in general, and how floaty and unresponsive it is. And
it's bad as a video game. It's too long.
Yeah.
Like the story is insulting. You just girl boss your way through infinite genocide. Like, it's
very weird.
It's a bad game.
But we'll be okay after having played it. We'll move on.
We'll be okay.
We'll be okay.
There is peak fiction elsewhere. Everything will be fine. But God, it's fucking terrible.
I just want people...
regardless of the number, I think a 3 is fine.
Yeah.
2.5, 3... somewhere in that ballpark. Not a 1 or a 2, because those would be reserved for, like, crimes.
Yeah.
But regardless, as a definite, I would not encourage anyone to buy this game. I would barely encourage a curious person to play it if it was, like, on a Game Pass.
Yeah.
Or something where you just get it.
It's just poor.
Like, it is scholarly interesting in, like, how not to make one of these games. Mm-hmm. Every system it does is wrong.
Is it the worst follow-up of a studio that you like of recent memory?
Oh yeah, it's a write-off of a studio. Like I don't care about any Heart Machine games.
I was thinking this earlier. I just forgot to say it. From Software and Heart Machine, same tier of studios.
I think we said that.
Yeah,
there was one. What was the other comparison? Because it was like a best game to a worst game. Because they went from Sekiro to Elden Ring.
Yeah. There
was another studio that went from like a best game to I don't want to play this. And it wasn't Heart Machine because I don't like Hyper Light Drifter that much.
Like that much, yeah.
There was another thing. But yeah, the fucking... Don't play this game.
It's... If it was like 4 hours shorter...
If it was like a tight 2-hour thing that was just the boss fights or just sequences that were like point to point, just a hallway that just felt good to play, have you seen like Bit Trip Runner?
Yeah.
Like if it was just a runner game where you had slightly more control, it was 3D, it had nice focused art direction, and you didn't even control the camera, wasn't any open world bullshit. It was just about skill and playing the thing, and that was it.
Yep.
It would be much, much better.
Go play the Pathless.
They would need to change the story.
How much do you have to pay for the Pathless?
Cheaper.
It has to be cheaper.
Even if it isn't, if it's also 40, like, it's absolutely worth getting.
Let's see. Patless.
I think like 40. It says on Steam, typically $34, $19.99 currently. $39.99. Yeah, so there are direct comparison points in terms of price point and like art style and
it's
Annapurna.
Incredible.
Apparently, it just came out on Apple Arcade.
Nice.
That's cool. Apple Arcade continues to seem like a pretty good thing.
Any closing thoughts, or do you wish to rid yourself?
Just don't play it. It's terrible. It says a lot that we haven't played or talked about this game for like 2 months.
It's been a while.
We've been meaning to make this review, but we still summoned the fire back up and remembered all the dumb shit. I deleted my notes, and I still had it all.
Yeah. I only took notes up till like the end of the second area because I was like, I fucking can't. I just need to get through it. I can't write anything.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible.
It's a bad game. You should feel bad if you like it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
It's a terrible game. Don't play it. Don't buy it.
3 out of 10. Bye-bye.
Bye. I hurt.
Me too.